You wake up, you smell smoke, you realize the worst. What are you gonna do? You gotta call somebody. If you don't get someone soon, your house is about to burn down. You gotta call the volunteer fire department. They've always been there for us, but now it's time for us to be there for them. My name is Benjamin Poole, and today I'm going to persuade you, my audience, to volunteer for the volunteer fire department. I have credibility in this topic because I've done extensive research on the top sources of information on the internet, and I also have many years of experience volunteering in several different volunteer positions. Today we're going to go through the various reasons and needs that makes being a volunteer firefighter so important. We're also going to look at the ways to find solutions to these needs and what happens if a solution is not made. But first, let's see the many needs of a volunteer fire department, or VFD. I have this chart here that I made with information from the National Volunteer Fire Council. We can see, these numbers are backwards. Oops, oh well. The red marks are volunteer firefighters in the U.S., and the blue bars are hired firefighters in the U.S. from 1983 to 2017. As we can see here, the numbers of volunteer firefighters are on a steady decline, while the number of hired firefighters are on a steady increase. That's because not many people are volunteering, especially not as many as there have been in the past. And that means you gotta fill the gap somehow, and that leaves the taxpayers to hire firefighters to fill the gap. Naturally, most all volunteer fire departments are in desperate need of actual volunteers. The National Fire Protection Association published in its 2017 Fire Department Profile Report, which is based on a collected data via a national survey of fire departments. They estimated that there was 685,000 active volunteer firefighters in the U.S. in 2017. While that sounds pretty good, it is actually down significantly from the 900,000 and 730,000 volunteer firefighters and the NFPA estimates were active in the U.S. in 2015 and 2016 alone. According to Caroline Coronar, volunteers are not easy to get, and they're difficult to retain. The baby boomers are aging out, and the newer generation just doesn't have that sticking power that the generations did before. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, says in the last 2 years, the number of volunteer firefighters in North Carolina dropped by roughly 22%. That's a 22% that the taxpayers have to hire to fill the gap. Now, while that's pretty bad, firefighting volunteers are only part of what it takes to keep a VFD station operational. The second need of a volunteer fire department station is the specialized equipment. According to a research article written by Anthony Patori, Amy Mensch, Nelson Reiner, and George Braga, firefighters are exposed to a highly variable thermal environments, including to elevated temperatures, convective heat flux, and radiant heat flux. This puts a significant burden on personal protective equipment. This equipment is unarguably important, and it's incredibly expensive. Without it, we put the firefighters who serve our communities at an unknown risk. This equipment, like I said, is not cheap, and the VFD relies on its community to come together to keep it well funded and thus well protected. And volunteering to work in the station doesn't always mean running into burning buildings if you want to volunteer to work at the station. The VFDs also need normal people who are willing to do small tasks. According to Lindsay Thompson, volunteer firefighters fulfill a number of important duties. Along with putting out structural fires, volunteer firefighters respond to car accidents, natural disasters, and other emergencies. Also, according to Lindsay Thompson, in an all-volunteer fire department, so in a fire department made of nothing but volunteer firefighters, the firefighters are responsible for maintenance and care of the fire vehicles and equipment. Maintenance duties also extend to the station itself. Common chores include mowing the grass, attending to the landscape, and cleaning. These are normal things that normal people can do every day, and they make a big difference. As a community-based program, everyone benefits from the good deeds of the volunteer fire department, and as a community-based society, everyone should do their part to help out. Helping others is part of the human experience, and in these times, a big way to help others is to volunteer for the volunteer fire department. We all need to find ways to volunteer, whether that is putting out fires, donating to keep the actual firefighters safe, or even just mowing the yard. If we all pitch in and do our part, the workload will be minuscule. But if we leave the entire job to only a few people in the community, the workload is tremendous. Here is our plan of action. First, we must understand the need. Second, we must find ways to help. And third, we must make a commitment, no backing out. You can't say, oh yeah, I'll come mow your yard next Thursday, and then head out to a baseball game. That's not how that works. You have to follow through with our commitments and work hard at the jobs we have volunteered for. And finally, we must lead others by example to volunteer with us. If we can all find it within ourselves, others will see our good work and they'll want to join. Here we're going to describe the expected results of our plan of action. The results of taking action would be a safer community. And if we all work as one, the community will be drawn together, bonded with the determination to complete a common mission. Now, there are also some consequences of not taking action, as would be obviously seen. The consequences of not taking action would be an undermanned and overworked fire department. Now, this could lead to less reliability. When you wake up and you smell smoke, you may not be able to call your volunteer fire department because you're already off helping someone else. They just don't have the people, don't have the equipment, don't have the time. They just can't be there if we don't help them out. Not to mention, if the number of volunteer firefighters continue to dwindle, the taxpayers will have to pay the gap to hire extra firemen just to pick up the slack. There is a lot at stake here, but like I said, there is a lot to gain. Today, we have seen the numerous needs of the volunteer fire department. We have seen all they do for us, and we have seen what will happen if we don't respond to this call to action. But we've also seen the great benefits of volunteering for the volunteer fire department. By simply donating a little of our lives or a little bit of our money, we can make such a big difference. My purpose today was to persuade you to volunteer for your local volunteer fire department. It is so easy to get caught up in our own lives. We all have our own goals and aspirations to achieve. But what we need to realize is how amazing it can be to get involved with the community. Volunteering for the volunteer fire department is so easy. All it takes is a visit to your local station and a little commitment. Volunteering for the volunteer fire department may be a local, small-town action, but it makes a world of difference. Thank you.